And then Asian, we cry a lot when our loved one passes away. I'm not sure about American, but Asian, we cry a lot, especially Vietnamese. We cry so much. And I asked, why do you cry so much? They said, because I love my father, I love my mother, they passed away. And I said, that's not true love. That's so fake. And then, before I go there, I want to tell you one thing. In Chinese and Vietnamese tradition, and we still have the way of thinking that when our parents die, our loved one die, we would rise and go into their mouth. I don't know why, but then, ring and things like that. And they couldn't do it. They asked me to do it. That's decades. I asked why you can't do it. They say they're afraid. You see how sad it is? It's because I repeat this so many times. Regardless of how much we tell that person that we love them so much, but at the end, when that dead body lying there, 1 day, 2 days, it's okay. 3 days, he's trying to stay away. Here they have all kind of chemical and the way to take care of that body, corpse. But then in Asian country, after dying, still let it away because of the smell. Right? And so we try to stay away. Then where's that love? Where is it now? We try to stay away from that corpse. You see, even how much we love that person, but when that person passes away, this body become something that is so awful because of the smell and all those. Then that love that we promised is also gone. And I always said, it's because you love yourself. It's not that you love that person. It's because every time in your life when you encounter challenges, difficulties, you have else to come to with your parents. You always come to your parents and cry and lean on their shoulder and cry and beg them to help you. Whenever you need the most, they are always there for you. And so now they no longer exist. You don't have that ability, you don't have that person by your side anymore, so you can lean on and ask for help. That is why you cry. At the end, we still love ourselves. That's the fact. But we love ourselves just because of expectation. We want this and we want that in life, which is also great suffering to ourselves as well. We still in that suffering circle. We cannot escape. But why do people, we keep on repeating that so we continue suffering? That is a big question. And not many of us realize that. Even if we realize, we don't really take that seriously. And so we create and we put a lot of thoughts into a really big bag and we carry it on our shoulder every day. What are those thoughts? Worry, sadness, stress, money, health, kids, husband, wife, mother, father, friends, all kind of things. We keep on putting each and every rock into that bag and we carry that on our shoulder every day. We walk every day with the bag of rock. How heavy it is? Very heavy, right? It means that we have all kinds of defilements in our mind. All kinds of defilements. Stress, anxiety, depression, all those kinds we have. We barely have a peaceful moment. We barely have a happy moment. When we smile, that is not really a smile either. Fortune. Is that the life that we really want to live, or we want a better life? Of course we want a better life. But how do we get that better life? That is something that we need to work on. Instead of collecting burden rocks and put into that bag and carry, now we also collecting some kind of gems, not rocks. Gems, okay? We need to collect those and build our own island. We need to have some kind of gem that is valuable enough to build an island for ourselves. It means that our minds always be pure, calm, silent, and loving, compassion, all those things. And when people say something to us, instead of reacting with anger and things like that, now we just give them a smile. We collect one gem. Is that right? How easy that is. No, it's not hard. That is so easy. When people throw a rock at you, instead of you collect that rock and put into that bag, now you need to convert that rock into a gem. Because rock also becomes gem if we know how to make it into a gem, right? You need to carve that outside layer by each layer, and it will become a gem. So now when they throw that rock at us, instead of, oh, thank you for that rock, I have a new rock to put in my bag. Now, instead of doing that, we convert that rock into a gem, a little gem. Means that we, instead of react with anger, we react with kindness. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to cultivate merit. Of course, who in this world would give us that opportunity? Nobody giving us that opportunity. But those people who always throwing rocks at us, they are our helper. They're the one who very well and very fortunate that they are giving us that opportunity for us to convert it, for us to cultivate and collect merits. Without them, we can't. We don't have the ability, we don't have that chance to gain merit. Is that right? If he don't shout at you, how can you practice patience and loving kindness? If he don't curse at you, how can we practice patience and loving kindness and compassion? If he don't hit you, how can we practice forgiveness? Giving that person a chance and giving us a chance. See? So, in a negative way, there's always a positive way following after, if we know how to convert it. It's just that we have to be mindful enough to see that monkey mind when it's react. Right at that moment, it's so quick. It's so quick right at that moment when the rock throws it directly to our face. That monkey mind, that anger rises right away. When it rises, we feel the burning sensation right here by our chest. Right? If we don't see it right there at that moment, then we will follow that and react with fire. But now, when we see that fire is about to burn, is about to get bigger, see it right there, right away. When you see it, you feel it, oh, it's burning. This sensation is not so good. It's not desirable. I don't like this feeling. I will not live with this feeling. Let it go. Take a deep breath. Earlier we just did. Take a deep breath. Feel your heartbeat. By that moment, you will feel your heartbeat. You will know how fast it is. It's bumping like this. Right? When we get angry, our heart beats really fast. But when you are calm, it just slowly like this. Is that true? So now, when anger arises, you see that sensation, that anger, that fire, that burning sensations within our chest. You know that your heart rate is faster and faster. That is when you need to take action right away. Take a deep breath. Fill your lungs with that air. Fill it up. When you breathe out, relax, relax. You will see your heart rate will drop. It will slowly drop down, and you will be back to normal. That is when we already converted that rock into a gem. Now we have one gem. Okay? Put it into this glass of water where you collect gems every day. Every day, when you collect, I always make a sample of this cup with a lid shield. Okay? Every time when you collect one gem, put into this cup, seal it, keep on collecting until it's full. But on the way, remember, on the way, it's always so easy for us just to pour this alcohol on the ground. Because of unmindful, we react with anger again. Just one anger, we could run the whole thing that we did collect. We just pour it on the ground. Just like water. Instead, a piece of gem or a drop of water into here and then seal it, keep it. Don't let it fly away, don't let it escape. But then we always, because of unmindful, we always react with anger, delusion, and greed, and things like that. It means that we wasted what we have been cultivated. So now we have to start over again. But still, we still be able to start over again rather than nothing. Right? And so when we keep on collecting gems like that, until one point to the point that we have enough to build our own island. The Buddha said, you have to build your own island. Right? We cannot just wait for somebody else to build the island for us to live. Peace is the same way. We cannot sit here and wait for the government, the president, or the world leader to build the world, to make the world to be a peace for us to live. That's never going to happen. If we don't work towards it, it will never happen. this world will just like that, fighting, conflict, division, and all those things, spreading each and every day. Why is that? Because of greed, because of power, because of all those things. And because of us, we also want something from this world. What is that? Fame, power, money, husband and wife, kids, all those things. And when we cannot get it, we suffer and we start to create more suffering for the others. That is why this world can never be peace. For that reason, we, part of this world, we have to start from ourselves first. To change this world, we always have to start it from ourselves. By converting rocks into gem, living mindfully with our own thoughts, our own speech and work and actions. That is when the world will slowly change. Otherwise, we will continue suffering. But after the walk of peace up until now, I truly feel this way. There were so many people already out of that ring where we always drawn by division, conflicts, and war, and news, and things like that. Now a lot of us already escaped from that. We are not easily drawn by those anymore. We know how to keep ourselves at peace. We know how to give peace for ourselves. Is that right? We have the way. We know the meaning behind this life. That's why we all continue practicing mindfulness to have peace for ourselves. The more peaceful people exist in this world, the more this world will become peaceful. And that's how we spread peace. By practicing mindfully. And this is the topic that today I would like to share with you. It means that regardless of what happened in our life, we always have a choice to receive it as a rock or a gem. It all depends on us. It's still the same thing. Cursing, hitting, shouting, anything. It's the same scenario, same thing. But when the receiving person have a choice to receive that as a burden on the shoulder, put in a rock into that bag and carry, or a piece of gems. It all depends on us. So which one we each want to choose? Gem. They are beautiful, isn't it? Who doesn't love gems? So may you always be mindful with your thoughts and your words and your action, and to have a better life, and that is the way to guide our kids to the better world as well. So now, your time for questions, Q&A, if you have any.
What motivated you to do the walk for peace from Texas to DC? I followed this every step of the way. What was your inspiration behind it?
Suffering happens around me where I live in Fort Worth, Texas. Especially the COVID-19. I've seen so much suffering. And then I traveled to do disaster relief too in Uganda. And so I also went to prison to teach meditation. I've seen a lot of sufferings like that. And people can't even control their mind, they can't even control their physical body just for a very short period of time. When I went to the prison, I told the people in there, the prisoners, I said, I believe you can do a lot of things in this world because you don't care about anything. That's why you committed to this type of crime in order for you to stay here. So I truly believe you could do even more, but there's one thing, only one thing that I'm pretty sure that none of you can do it. And they was concerned and raising their eyebrows on me. And I say, if you be able to sit still with me for 5 minutes, no move, just stay still, eyes closed, and focus within your breath going in and out, aware of each breath going in and out. Do not move. Whatever you want, I will fulfill your wish. Within 1 minute, there's people open their eyes. Looking around, things like that, the whole time. They can't stay still. Why is that? This one is keep on jumping here and there, can never rest. And this body acted after the same way because of the habit. They have built that habit for so long, and we are living in this world based on habit. Seeing so much like that, and I always ask myself, what can a monk do to help the people? What can a Buddhist monk do to help? And I was thinking, of course I already made the vow to build the Dhamma project already. That one already happened. And so I asked myself, what else can I do? What else can I do? Because that project will take a very long time to complete. And I don't know if I'll be able to complete it within this lifetime either. And so what can I do to help the people when they suffer so much like this? And I always keep on thinking that way until I think, okay, can I walk? Can I walk to raise the awareness of peace to the people? But in order for people to have peace, of course, they have to practice mindfulness. If you don't practice mindfulness, there will be no peace, for sure. Because peace begins from within, that I already explained, right? And so, I make that vow. I will walk whenever I have that chance to raise the awareness of peace to the people who I meet along the road. And I wasn't expecting that turnout. I did. But somehow it turned out like that. So I don't even know why and what have I done. Now I'm not me like before anymore. Everywhere I go, sometimes I can't do things that I want anymore. Last week when we were in India, I tell you the funny story. My team at night time, we reached to Kusinara, which is the place where the Buddha cremation passing away. And my team, when we arrived, they wanted to go shopping because they want to try street food and they want to see all those shop fabrics and saw and things like that. So, and if I don't go, they don't want to go. So I said, okay, I will go with you. Just walk, just to enjoy. So I said, I'm gonna walk with a little. And how many times in our life that we actually take time to do this for ourselves? Barely or never? because we are way too busy, right? Busy with family, busy with work, busy with school, busy with everything. For that reason, we totally forgot ourselves. And that is why we suffer, that I always say, that is the reason why we suffer so much. But when we be able just to let go of everything, just to stay focused within our heartbeat, we can feel our soul. We can see our soul. That is when peace begins. But it is so difficult for so many people because they believe in this. Even if they sometimes even if they believe it's just a temporary belief, and everything just vanishes within a short time when they don't get the result. Sadly, that is how we live in this world. We want everything quick and fast. We don't want anything, we don't like anything that is slowly coming. We want it quick, like fast food. And the more we do that, the more we suffer. But we didn't realize that. We didn't realize it. We keep on chasing after it. We keep on doing that non-stop. And then we spread that, we deliver that message to our kids, our future generations, because they are looking at us every day. Right? They are looking up to us every day, seeing us how we live, how we interact, how we talk, how we react when things happen. And everything recorded into their mind. It's recorded just like a hard drive of a computer. Everything that we type on that keyboard, it will automatically record it. Right? Key lock recorded into the hard drive. Then when we need it, we can just recover from that. So the kids are looking up to us and they see us live that way and they follow the same path. In Asian, we always say the horse is always going on the same path. Right? When the horse already on one path, it's create a pattern, and every time when it comes to that location, they're just gonna follow that path over and over. We are the same. We repeat it ourselves. We live this way, and we want our kids to do the same. And that is how we suffer, and we want our kids to suffer the same way. And a lot of parents also wanted all kids to get married. When they don't have any partner, then we worry, right? We want them to get married and have kids. But we are not realizing that we are pushing them to their suffering. Because we are suffering, now we want them to suffer the same way. Right? Are we not? We struggle with family, with husband and wife. But now when our kid doesn't want to get married, we want them to get married. When they don't, we get mad. It means that we want them to suffer the same way. Hey, look, I already suffer. Now it's your turn. That's what we do to our kids, our future generation. Why do I say that? It's because they will have to repeat that circle of life. Getting married. When if they are lucky enough and fortunate enough, they will find one partner which is very grateful and love them. But if not, what's going to happen? They suffer. But even if they find somebody that loves them so much, they still suffer. The other person also suffer because trying to protect that person because afraid that he or she will lose that person. Right? So this circle of life, we are in this samsara circle of life, we are repeating ourselves like that. And we want our kids to be the same. And every day we live unmindful. Because of unmindful, we create a lot unwholesome deeds. And all those unwholesome deeds will follow us life after life. Whatever that we have right now, these clothing and anything that externally, material, we have to let it go when we die. But only those wholesome deeds can go to the next life, come along with us any life. You know, when in Fort Worth, Texas, I go to funeral a lot to chant for the Sikh people. And in Theravada tradition, we don't have that. In Theravada tradition, we don't go out to chant for the Sikh people because once that person died, that's it. Go to the next one. Even if we chant our whole life, that person cannot get anything. But the chanting means that to remind the people who are still alive that, see, that is impermanent. One day you will lie there just like this body. That's how we chant, and that's what we wanted to deliver the message to the people who are still alive, that look at that. Because of impermanence, this person passed away. So do we. And for that reason, you must be mindful while you still have this breath going in and out. Don't waste your time, don't waste your life. That's how we try to show them.
When our parents die, we often say, "I cry because I love them," and in a very human way. That is true. No one should dismiss the tears of a son or daughter standing before the body of a mother or father. No one should look at grief and casually call it weakness. The loss of a parent can feel like the loss of the first world we ever knew. Before we knew our own name, before we understood money, success, failure, religion, politics, or the long complications of adult life, there was a mother, a father, or someone who stood in that place. They fed us, carried us, worried about us, forgave us, and often suffered silently so that we might live. So when such a person disappears from our visible life, tears are natural. Grief is natural. The heart shakes because something ancient inside us has been touched. Yet Venerable Bhikkhu Panikara offers a question that is not easy to hear. It is not the kind of teaching that comforts us immediately. It does not simply say, "They are in a better place," or "everything will be all right." Instead, it asks us to look more deeply into the tears themselves. When we cry after our parents die, are we crying only because we love them? Or are we also crying because we have lost the person we leaned on, the person who stood behind us, the person we could return to when life became too heavy? Are we grieving for them? Or are we also grieving for ourselves? This question can feel painful, even harsh, when it is heard too quickly. For many people, especially in Asian families and also in many traditional families around the world, love for parents is sacred. To question the purity of a child's grief can sound almost disrespectful. But the purpose of this teaching is not to accuse anyone. It is not to say that our tears are false, that our love is fake, or that we should stand at a funeral with a dry face and an empty heart. The deeper purpose is to help us see the layers of human attachment. Buddhist teaching often does this. It gently, and sometimes sharply, separates what we usually mix together: love and clinging, gratitude and dependence, compassion and possession, memory and identity. There are teachings that soothe us, and there are teachings that wake us up. The soothing teachings are easy to accept because they agree with our emotions. They give the heart a place to rest. But the awakening teachings sometimes feel like a mirror placed too close to the face. They reveal details we did not want to see. They show us that even our most beautiful emotions may contain fear, self-concern, expectation, and attachment. This does not make us bad. It makes us human. The Buddha's path does not begin by pretending we are already pure. It begins by seeing clearly how the mind actually works. In the reflection offered by Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara, the subject is not merely death. It is the way the living relate to death. When a person dies, especially someone close to us, the body becomes still, the voice disappears, and the familiar presence that once filled a house or a room is no longer available. In Buddhist practice, the death of another person is not only an event of sorrow, it is also a teaching. It shows us impermanence in its most direct form. We may understand impermanence as an idea. We may say, everyone dies, and believe that we accept it. But when the person lying there is our mother, our father, our spouse, or our child, the idea becomes a wound. Suddenly, impermanence is no longer philosophy. It is the empty chair at the table. It is the phone number we can no longer call. It is the voice we will never again hear in the same way. In Buddhist funerals, chanting is often understood not as a magical act that changes everything for the deceased, but as a reminder to those still alive. The body before us teaches without words. It says, this too will happen to you. One day, our own breath will stop. One day, people will stand around our body. One day, everything we are so busy protecting, our name, our possessions, our plans, our opinions, our pride, will be left behind. This is not meant to frighten us into despair. It is meant to bring urgency and clarity. If life is impermanent, then how should we live? If the people we love are impermanent, then how should we love them? If our own body is impermanent, then what is truly worth holding? From that contemplation of death, the teaching moves toward grief. Many people cry intensely when their parents die. In some cultures, public crying is expected. It is seen as proof of love, proof of loyalty, proof that the deceased mattered. But Buddhism asks us to examine not only what appears on the outside, but what is happening inside the mind. A person may cry loudly, but what is the root of the crying? Is it gratitude? Is it compassion? Is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it loneliness? Is it the shock of impermanence? Is it regret for words never spoken? Is it the collapse of an identity that depended on having that parent alive? This is where the teaching becomes powerful. Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara points to something many people may recognize but rarely admit. We often say, I cry because I loved my father, or I cry because I loved my mother. But when we look honestly, we may discover that part of the pain comes from losing the one person who was always there for us. Whenever we had trouble, we came to our parents. When we were children, we ran to them with scraped knees and frightened hearts. When we became adults, we still called them when life became confusing. Even if our relationship with them was imperfect, they often represented a kind of original shelter. Their presence said, you are not alone in this world. When they die, that shelter collapses, and the crying that follows may not be only for them. It may also be for the child inside us who suddenly feels unprotected. This insight can be difficult because it challenges our self-image. We like to believe that love is pure. We want our grief to be noble. We want to think that every tear we shed for our parents is completely selfless. But Buddhist psychology is very honest. It tells us that ordinary human love is usually mixed. It contains tenderness, sacrifice, loyalty, and gratitude, but it also contains craving, fear, dependence, and the desire to keep what makes us feel safe. The problem is not that we love. The problem is that we do not know how much clinging is hidden inside what we call love. This distinction between love and attachment is central to the Buddhist path. True love, in the Buddhist sense, is close to loving kindness and compassion. It wishes for the other person to be well, to be free from suffering, to be at peace. It does not say, you must remain in my life so that I can feel secure. It says, may you be free, may you be peaceful, may you be released from pain. Attachment, on the other hand, says, I need you. I cannot bear to lose you. You must stay because without you I do not know who I am. These two forces can exist together in one heart. We may genuinely love our parents and also cling to them. We may wish them peace and also wish they had not left us. We may pray for their liberation and still feel angry that they are gone. To understand this is not to condemn ourselves. It is to bring compassion to the truth. If someone loses a parent and cries, Buddhism does not say, "Stop crying." It says, "Look deeply. What is this tear? What is this tightness in the chest? What is this thought that keeps returning? Is it love? Is it regret? Is it fear? Is it the mind refusing the truth of impermanence? Is it the old habit of leaning on someone who can no longer physically be there?" When we observe in this way, grief becomes a path of insight rather than only a wound. For many Americans, this teaching may speak to something familiar, even if the cultural expressions of grief differ. In the United States, some families cry openly, while others remain quiet. Some funerals are filled with emotion, while others are restrained. But underneath the cultural forms, the same human pattern exists. Parents are not only people, they are part of the architecture of our inner life. Even when we disagree with them, even when the relationship is complicated, even when we have spent years trying to become independent, their death can shake us in places we did not know were still dependent. An adult may suddenly feel like a child again. A successful person may feel helpless. A person who thought they had accepted death may find themselves overwhelmed by the finality of it. This is why the Buddhist teaching on impermanence is not meant to be saved for funerals. It is meant to be practiced while people are still alive. We do not contemplate impermanence to become cold. We contemplate it to become more loving, more present, less careless. When we remember that our parents will not be here forever, we may speak more gently. We may call more often. We may stop postponing gratitude. We may let go of small resentments. We may understand that every ordinary conversation is not ordinary at all. It is temporary. One day, even the most familiar voice becomes a memory. Impermanence is painful only when resisted. When understood deeply, it becomes a guide. It tells us not to waste the time we have. It tells us that love must be expressed while the person can still receive it. It tells us that respect is not something to display only at the funeral. It should be present in the way we speak, the way we listen, the way we care, the way we forgive. A beautiful funeral cannot replace a neglected relationship. 1,000 tears after death cannot fully repair 1,000 missed chances during life. This does not mean we should drown in guilt. It means we should wake up now. When Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara speaks about the body after death, he touches another uncomfortable but important Buddhist reflection, the nature of the physical body. We love a person while they are alive. We recognize their face, their smell, their warmth, their gestures. But when life leaves the body changes quickly. It becomes something we may fear, avoid, or even recoil from. This can feel disturbing to think about. But Buddhist practice uses this truth not to create disgust for life, but to weaken delusion. We often cling to form as if form were permanent. We identify a person with their body, and we identify ourselves with this body. But the body is a process, not a possession. It is made of elements, sustained by conditions, and subject to decay. When someone we love dies, the body reveals what has always been true. The body was never a stable self. It was a changing collection of elements. While breath and consciousness were present, we called it mother, father, my loved one. When those conditions changed, the body began to return to nature. This does not mean the person was meaningless. It means our way of clinging to physical form was incomplete. We love the face, the voice, the touch, but the deeper lesson is to love with wisdom, knowing that all forms pass. This reflection can deepen love rather than destroy it. If we know that the body is fragile, we become kinder to those who are still embodied. We see that our parents' bodies are aging, even if we do not want to notice. Their hands become weaker. Their steps slow down. Their memory may change. Their patience may thin. They may need from us what we once needed from them. If we do not understand impermanence, we may become irritated by these changes. If we do understand it, we may see them as sacred reminders. The parent who once carried us now needs to be carried in some way. The one who once listened to our cries may now need our listening. This is where Buddhist wisdom becomes practical compassion. In many traditions, filial piety is often associated with ceremony, duty, and public respect. These can be beautiful when they come from a sincere heart. But from a Buddhist perspective, true gratitude to parents is not measured only by how loudly we mourn or how elaborate the funeral is. It is measured by how we live. If we cry deeply when our parents die, but continue to live with anger, selfishness, dishonesty, and cruelty, then our grief has not yet become wisdom. If, however, the death of our parents causes us to become more mindful, more generous, more patient, and more compassionate, then our grief has become a form of practice. To honor parents in the Buddhist sense is to live in a way that does not waste the life they helped make possible. They gave us this body. They endured difficulties we may never fully know. Even imperfect parents gave conditions for our existence. Some parents were loving and gentle. Some were wounded and difficult. Some gave care mixed with pain. Buddhism does not ask us to pretend every family story is simple, but it does invite us to respond to our life with wisdom. If our parents were kind, we can continue their kindness. If they suffered and passed suffering to us, we can choose not to pass it further. In both cases, practice becomes a form of honoring. This is especially important when we think about grief. Many people believe that the depth of love must be proven by the depth of suffering. If I love deeply, I must suffer endlessly. If I stop crying, perhaps I did not love enough. If I heal, perhaps I am betraying the dead. But Buddhist teaching offers another possibility. Love does not require endless suffering. In fact, the most mature love may be the love that allows the other person to go in peace. It remembers without clinging. It honors without collapsing. It continues the goodness of the departed through one's own actions. This does not happen quickly. When a parent dies, the heart may need time. There may be waves of sadness, regret, dreams, memories, and sudden tears in ordinary places. A song, a smell, a holiday, an empty room, anything can reopen grief. Buddhist practice does not demand that we force ourselves into calm. Forced calm is not liberation. It is suppression. Real practice begins by allowing the feeling to be known clearly. This is sadness. This is longing. This is fear. This is guilt. This is love mixed with attachment. To name the feeling gently is already to create space around it. The feeling is still there, but we are no longer completely lost inside it. In mindfulness, we learn that grief is not one solid thing. It is made of sensations, memories, thoughts, images, and stories. There may be pressure in the chest, heaviness in the throat, wetness in the eyes, a thought saying, "I should have done more," an image of the parent's face, a memory of childhood, a fear of being alone. When all of these arise together, we call it grief. But when we observe carefully, we see that grief is changing moment by moment. It swells, softens, returns, fades, and returns again. This too is impermanent. Even sorrow is impermanent. Seeing this does not make love smaller. It makes love wiser. We begin to understand that our parents were never truly ours in the possessive sense. They came into this life through causes and conditions. We came through them, but we did not own them. They walked with us for a time. They played a role no one else could play. But like all beings, they had their own karma, their own suffering, their own path, and their own ending. To love them with wisdom is to bow to that truth. It is to say, "Thank you for walking with me as long as you could. May I carry forward what was good. May I release what was painful. May you be at peace." The question, do we love our parents? Or do we love the feeling of being loved by them? Can be one of the most transformative questions in grief. At first, it may sound almost cruel, but if we sit with it, we may see its tenderness. Every human being wants to be loved unconditionally. For many people, the closest experience of that love comes from a parent. Even when parents are imperfect, the idea of a parent often represents unconditional acceptance. So when a parent dies, we may feel that unconditional place has vanished. What hurts is not only that they are gone, but that the version of ourselves who could still be someone's child has lost its home. This is why adults sometimes feel strangely orphaned after the death of elderly parents. The world sees them as grown, capable, responsible, but inside, something very young is grieving. That young part does not care about age, career, status, or achievement. It only knows that the person who once stood between it and the vastness of life is gone. Buddhist practice does not shame that inner child. It holds it with awareness. It says, yes, there is fear here. Yes, there is loneliness. Yes, there is attachment. Let us see it. Let us breathe with it. Let us not turn it into despair. When we understand this, we can also become more compassionate toward others who grieve. We stop judging the way people mourn. Some cry loudly because their pain needs sound. Some remain quiet because their pain has gone inward. Some become busy because stillness is unbearable. Some become angry because grief has no other language yet. Instead of measuring love by outward behavior, we can ask a deeper question. Is this person being helped toward wisdom or trapped deeper in suffering? Good spiritual friendship does not shame grief. It gently guides grief toward understanding. The practical teaching is simple but not easy when loss comes. Feel it fully, but investigate it honestly. Do not use spiritual ideas to escape heartbreak. Do not say impermanence as a way to avoid tears. At the same time, do not use tears as proof that clinging is love. Let the tears fall, but let awareness be present. Let memory arise, but do not drown in the story. Let gratitude grow stronger than regret. Let love become less about needing the person to remain and more about wishing peace for them and living nobly because of them. For those whose parents are still alive, this teaching is even more urgent. The best time to understand impermanence is before the funeral. The best time to express gratitude is before the hospital bed. The best time to soften pride is before the last conversation has already happened. Many people carry old conflicts with their parents. Some wait for the parent to apologize first. Some wait for the perfect time to reconnect. Some assume there will always be another chance. Impermanence tells us not to be so sure. It does not say we must ignore boundaries or pretend that harmful behavior was acceptable, but it does say that life is short and uncertain, and whatever healing is possible should not be delayed carelessly. To love parents while they are alive is not only to say, "I love you." It is to be present. It is to listen to stories we may have heard before. It is to notice their aging without resentment. It is to help where we can. It is to forgive what can be forgiven. It is to stop demanding that they be perfect before we offer kindness. It is also, when necessary, to love with boundaries and wisdom. Buddhism does not confuse compassion with allowing harm, but even boundaries can be held without hatred. A child may need distance from a parent, yet still wish that parent freedom from suffering. This, too, is a form of mature love. For those whose parents have already died, the practice is different but still alive. Relationship does not end simply because the body is gone. It changes form. We can no longer serve them through physical care, but we can serve their memory through our conduct. We can dedicate acts of generosity in their name. We can practice patience where they were impatient. We can heal patterns that have traveled through the family line. We can become the kind of person who brings peace rather than more suffering into the world. In this way, grief becomes a bridge between the past and the future. This connects with another central theme in Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara's broader teaching: the suffering we do not transform. We often pass on. Parents suffer and may unintentionally pass suffering to children. Children grow up and pass it further. Families repeat patterns like a path worn into the ground. If we are not mindful, we walk the same path again and again, thinking it is destiny when it is actually habit. The death of a parent can either deepen this unconscious repetition or awaken us from it. We can say, "Because life is short, I will continue the same anger." Or we can say, "Because life is short, I will stop carrying what does not need to be carried." In grief, many people carry a heavy bag of stones: regret, guilt, resentment, longing, fear, unfinished conversations, family expectations, and the ache of memory. Each thought becomes another stone. I should have visited more. I should have been kinder. Why did they leave? Who will love me now? What if I forget their voice? The bag becomes heavier until life itself feels burdened. The Buddhist path does not ask us to throw away love. It asks us to put down the stones that are not love. Regret can be transformed into responsibility. Guilt can be transformed into compassion. Longing can be transformed into gratitude. Fear can be transformed into practice. This is how grief becomes a gem. To transform grief into a gem, we must first stop pretending that grief is only one thing. If we insist, "I cry only because I love," we may miss the chance to see attachment. If we say, "I am only attached and my love is false," we become too harsh and miss the sincerity of the heart. The truth is more subtle. Human grief is mixed. It is love and attachment, gratitude and fear, memory and identity, tenderness and self-concern. The purpose of practice is not to hate the mixture, but to understand it. What is understood can be purified. What is denied remains hidden. This purification of love is one of the most beautiful possibilities in Buddhist practice. At first, love says, "Please do not leave me." Later, it learns to say, "May you be peaceful." At first, love says, "I cannot live without you." Later, it learns to say, "Because of what you gave me, I will live more wisely." At first, love collapses when form disappears. Later, it becomes a steady warmth that does not depend entirely on form. This is not indifference. It is a deeper fidelity. It is love freed, little by little, from possession. The American reader may recognize this in the language of grief healing. But Buddhism adds a precise spiritual dimension. Healing is not merely feeling better. Healing is seeing more clearly. We are healed not only when the pain decreases, but when wisdom increases. If the death of a parent teaches us impermanence, compassion, humility, and the importance of practice, then even sorrow has served awakening. The loss remains a loss, but it is no longer only a wound. It becomes a teacher. Still, we must be careful. Teachings on attachment can be misused. A person might hear this and think, "I should not cry," or "If I were spiritual, I would not hurt." That is not the point. The Buddha did not teach numbness. He taught freedom. Numbness closes the heart. Freedom opens it without letting it be enslaved. A free heart can love deeply and still understand impermanence. It can mourn and still bow to reality. It can remember and still continue living. It can feel pain without building a permanent identity around pain. So when tears come after the death of a parent, perhaps the practice is to pause and ask gently, "What is here?" Not as an accusation, but as meditation. There may be love here. There may be gratitude. There may be fear. There may be a child inside who feels alone. There may be regret asking to be transformed. There may be attachment asking to be understood. There may be compassion beginning to awaken. If we can hold all of this in awareness, then the funeral becomes more than an ending. It becomes a doorway into truth. And if our parents are still alive, the same question can change the way we love them now. Do we love them as they are? Or do we love the role they play for us? Do we allow them to be aging human beings? Or do we demand that they remain our permanent shelter? Do we listen to them, or only expect them to listen to us? Do we care for them, or only rely on them? Do we thank them, or assume their presence is guaranteed? These questions are not meant to create shame. They are meant to create mindfulness. A mindful son or daughter does not wait for death to become grateful. A mindful person understands that every parent is moving toward death, just as every child is. This shared impermanence can soften the heart. The old arguments may not seem so important. The need to win every disagreement may weaken. The desire to express love may become stronger than pride. Even if the relationship is complicated, one may still practice less hatred, more clarity, less expectation, more compassion, less clinging, more wisdom. In the end, Venerable Bhikkhu Panikara's teaching is not against crying. It is against unconscious crying. It is not against love. It is against mistaking attachment for the whole of love. It is not against honoring parents. It is a call to honor them more deeply, not only through tears, rituals, or words, but through awakening. When parents die, we can cry, but after we cry, we must ask what the tears are teaching us. Are they pulling us into more suffering, or opening us into wisdom? Are they saying, "I have lost what made me safe," or are they saying, "May I now live in a way that honors what was given"? There is a kind of grief that keeps reaching backward, trying to possess what cannot return. There is another kind of grief that bows, weeps, learns, and slowly becomes compassion. The Buddhist path invites us toward the second kind. It does not rush us. It does not shame us. It simply reminds us that all conditioned things are impermanent, that clinging brings suffering, and that love becomes pure when it is joined with wisdom. When a mother or father dies, the heart may break, but a broken heart can become either a closed heart or an awakened heart. It can close around bitterness, guilt, and fear, or it can open into gratitude, humility, and practice. The difference lies in how deeply we are willing to look. If we look only at the surface, we may say, "I cry because I love them." If we look deeper, we may say, "I love them, and I also depended on them. I miss them, and I also miss who I was when they were here. I grieve their absence, and I also grieve the loss of my own shelter." This deeper honesty does not reduce love. It makes love more truthful. Perhaps the most compassionate way to receive this teaching is to let it make us more alive today. If our parents are still here, may we love them with presence rather than assumption. If they are gone, may we remember them with gratitude rather than only pain. If we cry, may our tears be held in awareness. If we feel alone, may we learn to take refuge in the Dharma, in mindfulness, in wholesome action, and in the goodness we can still cultivate. No parent, no matter how loving, can be our permanent refuge. No human relationship can protect us from impermanence, but wisdom can teach us how to meet impermanence without being destroyed by it. To cry for our parents is human. To look deeply into our crying is practice. To transform attachment into gratitude is wisdom. To live more kindly because they lived is true remembrance. And to understand that love, when purified by insight, does not end with death. That is one of the quiet blessings of the Buddhist path.